From Baghdad, Iraq, tonight's headlines. UN inspectors say they need a lot more time. Turks say Saddam's exile may be only way to avoid war. But with U.S. troops flooding into the region, is it already too late?
Also tonight, declaring himself a different kind of Democrat, Connecticut Senator Joseph Lieberman announces he's running for president. And when dogs kill, pit bulls fatally maul one woman and wound another in a Chicago forest preserve.
This is the CBS Evening News, with Dan Rather reporting tonight from Baghdad and John Roberts from New York.
Good evening. The talk in this city, in this country, is of a coming war with the United States. And most Iraqis seem convinced it is going to happen. In public, the Iraqis are defiant. In private, some despair. But even as more U.S. troops pour into this region, there are indications that the timetable for war may be slipping. And British Prime Minister Tony Blair said today, war still can be avoided. Once again serving as a chief spokesman for the U.S.-British position, Blair said he is certain Saddam Hussein is hiding prohibited weapons. Blair said Saddam can still head off a war if he disarms voluntarily. If he does not, Blair said, Saddam will be disarmed by force. United Nations weapons inspectors explored science and technical colleges in Baghdad today. Others checked a military site south of the capital. Chief Arms Inspector Hans Blix says the search has widened with the help of intelligence provided by the U.S. and others. And the head nuclear arms inspector says his teams will need months to finish their work. A spokesman for President Bush said again the U.S. has set no deadline for completing the inspections or for launching a new war against Iraq. But there's no let-up in war preparations. A large team of U.S. military inspectors arrived in southeastern Turkey to assess bases there for possible use by American ground troops striking Iraq from the north. And thousands more U.S. servicemen and women are at sea today, bound for duty and possible action in the Persian Gulf. While the United States and Britain insist that war can be avoided if Saddam disarms, the massive buildup of U.S. forces, the momentum toward war, may be reaching a point of no return. And CBS's David Martin reports there could still be war, if not to disarm Saddam, to remove him.
Marines from Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, drive their armored vehicles onto the beach and load them aboard hovercraft to be transferred to ships offshore. Their families know what lies ahead.
I don't really want my husband in harm's way. Just watching him leave, our baby's only 5 months old, he's going to miss everything. It's very sad, very sad.
These Marines are a small part of more than 90,000 American service men and women, both from the States and from Europe, who have been ordered to the Persian Gulf, wondering if this really will be the final battle with Saddam Hussein.
I expect to win the war, so we ain't got to go back to the desert next time. That'd be great. Perfect world, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
That will bring the total force south of Iraq to 130,000. The U.S. cannot keep that many troops deployed in the desert indefinitely, and it is hard to imagine President Bush bringing them home and leaving Saddam in power.
There's been no decision to go to war, but the U.S. has now committed its military forces to a final showdown with Saddam, even though there are still gaping holes in the battle plan.
The Army division that was to use Turkey as its base for operations in northern Iraq has not yet received its orders because the Turks have still not given their approval. And the Special Operations Forces that were to use Jordan as a jumping-off point for raids into western Iraq have not gotten their orders either, because Jordan's king is having second thoughts. That funnels everything down to Kuwait, where a chemical attack by Saddam's Scud missiles could seriously disrupt the flow of troops. We're worried, one military officer says. This is not low risk. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
As David Martin indicated, if it does come to war, the U.S. plans to strike Iraq from the Persian Gulf in the south and from Turkey in the north. A 150-member Pentagon team is in Turkey tonight to inspect bases there. But as CBS's Richard Roth reports, the Turkish public strongly opposes war, and the Muslim government in Turkey is looking for a way out.
So desperate to avoid war, Turkish officials visiting Baghdad this past weekend proposed the unmentionable, according to a source here, surprising a senior member of the Iraqi government with the stark message that Saddam Hussein's exile may be the only way to prevent a U.S. attack. But it would take a brave man, the source conceded, to pass the message on to Saddam. It's crunch time for the only NATO nation on Iraq's border. Turkey's been a launch pad for American patrols over Iraq ever since the Gulf War ended. But the U.S. now wants permission to deploy troops here, with access to military bases and ports. And Turkey's stalling a decision on that.
We are not playing wait-and-see game. We want to be very sure that all peaceful solutions are exhausted.
Turkey's government feels squeezed between the Pentagon's pressure for cooperation and public opposition here to a war. Caught, in other words, between the U.S. conflict with Iraq and a very hard place for Turkish politicians. Turkey's overwhelmingly Muslim, but it's not just religion that's fueling opposition to a war on Iraq.
It's very clear that 97% of the population, they don't want to be involved in any war. They don't want a war, period.
Turkey says it's still burdened with refugees and damage to trade from the last war. And though the U.S. has promised aid to cushion the economy, Turkey's hinting it wants more, perhaps including some valuable northern Iraq oil fields it claims rights to under an 80-year-old treaty. But Turkey's worried it could still be risking more than it stands to gain and won't decide before late this month how much it should help America wage a war it really wants to go away. Richard Roth, CBS News, Ankara.
Britain's Prime Minister Tony Blair also faces a public reluctance to support the war. So again today, Blair tried to rally British public opinion, while at the same time emphasizing war is not inevitable. While doing that, as CBS's Mark Phillips reports, Blair was also dispatching forces to the Gulf.
The British carrier Ark Royal began moving slowly toward war today. Slowly, but it seems inexorably. The ship was being moved to an armaments base to be loaded with munitions before heading out on a deployment many here think will end in war with Iraq. Tony Blair made it clear today that preferably with, but possibly even without UN backing, Britain would join a US-led war to disarm Saddam.
We've made it clear throughout that we want to take the UN route. If there is a breach of the existing UN resolution, I have no doubt at all that the right thing to do in those circumstances is to disarm Saddam by force.
Why? Because Tony Blair clearly sees Iraq as the battlefield on which the war against the spread of mass destruction weaponry and terrorism must be fought.
It is a matter of time unless we act and take a stand before terrorism and weapons of mass destruction come together. And I regard them as two sides of the same coin.
Yet things will have to become a lot clearer if Tony Blair is to carry a skeptical British public along with him. A new opinion poll here shows 60% of people feel the case for war has not yet been made, and that skepticism includes members of Blair's own cabinet.
I'm very, very worried. I think all the people of Britain have a duty to keep our country firmly on the UN route so that we stop the US maybe going to war too early.
With the British carrier fleet heading toward Iraq, Tony Blair will head for Washington later this month for what is looking more and more like a war council. Mark Phillips, CBS News, London.
A new war with Iraq could end here in Baghdad with a building-by-building fight for control of the capital, urban warfare. U.S. forces in Kuwait are preparing for that now, and CBS News correspondent Byron Pitts is with them.
Call it dress rehearsal, the dangerous kind. Dress rehearsal in the North Kuwaiti desert for a kind of war the U.S. military would rather not wage in Iraq. America's modern military was built for battlefields, not back alleys. This is door-to-door urban warfare.
Window coming up. There you go.
We'd prevail, but, I mean, be a lot of casualties there.
Commanders here remember Somalia, America's last big urban battle where U.S. servicemen died. By some military estimates, U.S. casualties in urban fighting in Iraq could reach 50%. So these troops rehearse over and over and over again.
A lot of this is building the confidence that they can do it with smoke everywhere, with cars everywhere.
And most likely with civilians everywhere as well. In the open desert, Saddam Hussein's vaunted Republican Guard would be no match for U.S.-led forces. But on the narrow side streets and crowded high-rise buildings of Baghdad, filled with women, children, and unarmed men, American troops on the ground would face a deadly and complicated challenge. It's a scenario Private Daniel Martinez from Woodland, California, would rather avoid.
If it was up to me, I don't want a part of it. You know, it's too dangerous, too deadly. We lose too many people.
This urban training will continue day and night, but training that could turn into the real thing, on orders from the president. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Kuwait.
I'll be reporting from Iraq all this week on the possibility of a new war here. I'll be back later in this broadcast with the perspective of some young Iraqis, the next generation. They're telling the U.S., leave us alone. Right now, John Roberts in New York with some of the other news of this day. John?
And good evening from New York. In the nuclear dispute with North Korea, a top U.S. envoy is hinting at a possible way out. After meeting today with South Korea's President-elect Roh Moo-hyun, U.S. diplomat James Kelly said the North might get energy assistance from the United States and other countries if it will agree to dismantle its nuclear weapons program. Coming up next on tonight's CBS Evening News, Senator Joe Lieberman says he's in, running for president as a different kind of Democrat. So what kind is he?
Right now, get all the shrimp you can eat at Red Lobster. Oh yeah.
It's back. All the mouth-watering shrimp you can eat. Now at Red Lobster.
When you have acid reflux disease, heartburn boils up again and again.
As bad as the heartburn can be, the real threat is what lies beneath.
Over time, that burning acid could wear away the lining of your esophagus, and even if your heartburn symptoms aren't severe, the damage can be.
I didn't know.
Your doctor knows about a purple pill called Nexium. Nexium goes to the source of the problem, actually reducing the amount of acid your body creates.
For many people, one prescription Nexium a day provides complete 24-hour
Day and night heartburn relief.
And importantly, Nexium is proven to heal acid reflux erosions in the esophagus. Other serious stomach conditions may still exist. The most common side effects of Nexium are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Talk to your doctor and call this number for more information and a free trial offer for Nexium.
Relieve the heartburn, heal the damage. It's possible with the purple pill called Nexium.
Lesson 1. Did you know a dog's muscles are rebuilt about every 45 days? In fact, his entire body is constantly rebuilding. But without enough protein in his food, the whole process slows down. That's why Purina One adult formulas are scientifically formulated with an unsurpassed level of high-quality protein to help you enhance your dog's life by keeping him strong and fit. Purina One brand. One can make a difference.
Ensure
laughter.
Ensure
Tears.
Ensure
Life.
Millions of people are discovering Ensure. It gives you complete balanced nutrition when you can't have foods like these. Ensure to your health.
When your eyes feel dry, irritated, there's Refresh brand eye drops. First, Refresh relieves and soothes, then forms a lasting shield of protection to keep irritation out and moisture in. #1 doctor recommended Refresh relieves and protects.
If you have a cold and high blood pressure, you should know that decongestants in these medicines can raise your blood pressure. So why take them? Take decongestant-free Coricidin HBP, powerful relief that won't raise your blood pressure.
On the CBS Market Watch tonight, this contender for Understatement of the Year. The merger has been a disappointment. Those words today from Steve Case, resigning under fire as chairman of AOL Time Warner. The merged company's stock over 2 years plunged 60% as the media marriage went from blockbuster to just plain bust. You can add Connecticut Senator Joseph Lieberman to the growing field of Democrats vying to challenge incumbent Republican George W. Bush in the next presidential election. CBS Early Show's Harry Smith reports on what makes Lieberman run and the issues that he's running on.
2 years ago, we were promised a better America, but that promise has not been kept.
The senior class president, 1960, and prom king from Stanford, Connecticut High School returned today to announce his decision to run for higher office.
I am a candidate for President of the United States in 2004.
Senator Joe Lieberman, Al Gore's running mate in 2000, immediately made clear the identity crisis that plagued the vice president would not haunt him.
I will always know who I am and what I stand for.
Claiming President Bush's economic stimulus plan was anything but that, Lieberman said that Bush had put the American dream in jeopardy.
This president, I'm afraid, promised to come to Washington to change the tone, and the reality is that the place is more partisan and polarized than ever.
Lieberman is in accord with the president on foreign policy issues like Iraq, but not North Korea.
If you were in charge, how would you do it differently?
The North Koreans, instead of going to Santa Fe to see Bill Richardson, ought to be going to Washington to see Colin Powell.
The senator joins a jammed field of Democrats, including virtual unknowns, former Vermont Governor Howard Dean and North Carolina Senator John Edwards, better knowns former House Minority Leader Dick Gephardt, and Massachusetts Senator John Kerry, and the recently announced Reverend Al Sharpton.
That's everything.
But Joe Lieberman has better name recognition and the proven ability to raise serious amounts of money. If successful, he would be the first Jewish nominee for president from a major party.
You know there are still people in this country who will never vote for a Jewish candidate.
Well, I'm not willing to accept that. America makes a promise that if you work hard and play by the rules, you can go as far as your God-given talents will take you.
And Lieberman believes that includes the White House. Harry Smith, CBS News, Stamford, Connecticut.
In the war on terror, British authorities have arrested 6 more people in southern England. These arrests may be linked to an investigation of several North African men already in custody in London. Suspects in an alleged terror plot to produce ricin, a powerful poison made from castor beans. Coming up next on tonight's CBS Evening News, vicious dogs attack and kill a woman, turning this urban forest scene into a crime scene.
Body pain? Back pain? Introducing new Bear Back and Body. It's Bear Aspirin plus a special pain relief enhancer to relieve sore backs and soothe aching muscles fast. New Bear Back and Body. Get moving again pain-free.
Excuse me?
Dad, don't look.
Well, you're wearing a towel.
No, don't look at the scale.
Maybe you should be eating Total cereal.
I eat Special K, thank you.
You know, a study of calcium supplements and reduced calorie diets suggests you could lose more weight and burn more fat by adding more calcium to your diet plan.
So?
Only Total has 100% daily value of calcium. Special K is hardly any.
Say no more. I'll take the Total.
You're still here, aren't you?
Yeah, just leaving. Total. A smart way to lose the weight.
Tough heartburn slowing you down? Try Extra Strength Mylanta. Cooling relief that speeds right to where you need it. Nothing's faster. Extra Strength Mylanta. Soothing at the speed of life.
35,000 dentists think enough of Crest White Strips to sell them in their offices. 10 million people have tried them. 4 out of 5 would recommend them. Crest White Strips. The secret to a whiter smile is in the strip.
Have you made the move to Allegra for your seasonal allergies? Doesn't sound like it. Allegra for multi-symptom relief. See your doctor for people 12 and over. Side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. Allegra. It's time to switch.
Mom knows the quickest route from swim team practice to piano lessons to ballet class. Knows Blossom from Bubbles from Buttercup. Knows that sometimes the best way to treat a scraped knee is with an oatmeal cookie and a glass of orange juice. Great tasting, 100% pure, Minute Maid premium orange juice. For moms who know, it's Minute Maid.
Where's Matt?
You forgot, didn't you?
No.
Just call him.
No, you think I'm an idiot.
Hello?
Hello to you too.
Slideshow?
Absolutely right.
You have the cable in your hands, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, put that down.
Right.
Take out the memory stick, pop it right into the front of the TV.
Isn't that just fantastic? Thank you so much for calling.
Paris?
Paris.
Whoa! You're really up on all this technology, huh?
It's good stuff.
Rock star Pete Townsend was arrested in London today on suspicion of possessing child pornography. The guitarist with British superband The Who was apparently aware that he might be arrested. He said over the weekend that he used his credit card to view a child porn site on the internet, but claimed it was research that he was doing for a book about child abuse. Townsend, who is 57, added he may have been molested as a child. In this country, crime scene investigators on Chicago's South Side are looking for the owners of 2 vicious pit bulls. The dogs attacked at least 2 people, and in one case, a woman was mauled to death. CBS's Cynthia Bowers reports on the killer dogs and the hunt for their owners.
Running was second nature to marathoner Anna Cieslewicz, but there was no way even she could outdistance the 2 pit bulls who brutally attacked and killed her.
She ran in the woods, she ran in places that were dangerous and sort of knew that, but didn't think anything could happen to her.
Cieslewicz wasn't the only victim. Another woman who is yet to be identified was also out running on the popular Park District trails. She managed to make it to this hospital where she alerted police. They came upon a fatally injured Cieslewicz and then very nearly became victims themselves.
I went towards the dog and it lunged toward me, and I shot my weapon to put the dog down.
The second dog was spotted and killed a short distance away. The pit bulls looked about 2 years old and weighed 80 and 60 pounds respectively. And they appeared to be well cared for, which leads investigators to believe the dogs probably weren't fending for themselves. Adding to that theory, a portable doghouse, rug, and a freshly filled food bowl were found in the woods nearby.
It becomes very difficult to assume then that someone just dropped the dogs off there.
With both of the dogs involved in these maulings now dead, police feel confident they've removed the immediate threat. But now comes the hard part, figuring out who owned the animals and why 2 such dangerous dogs were allowed to run wild in such a public place. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, River Forest, Illinois.
On the CBS Health Watch tonight, news about a possible way to treat what appears to be a major risk factor in heart disease, inflammation of blood vessels. Researchers say there is preliminary evidence that anti-inflammatory medicines, such as those used to treat arthritis, could be important new drugs in the prevention of heart attacks and strokes. Twin sisters who were born joined at the head left a hospital in Los Angeles today, 5 months after complex and risky surgery to separate them. Now 17 months old, the girls are going home to Guatemala, where they will undergo follow-up surgery and treatment. The cost of their medical care so far, about $2 million, paid mostly through donations. And that's the news from New York tonight. I'm John Roberts. Now back to Dan Rather in Baghdad. Dan?
And John, you will hear some voices you haven't heard before about the possibility of Gulf War II when the CBS Evening News continues in a moment from Baghdad.
Post-shredded wheat is rich in whole grain and can help reduce your risk of heart disease. So it sounds as good to your ears as it does to your taste buds.
Hello there.
Hi.
Cigarette?
Excuse me.
Now a new patch from Nicotrol has all the strength you need to help beat cigarettes one craving at a time. And with Nicotrol, you're twice as likely to succeed than with cold turkey.
Nicotrol patch?
The new Nicotrol step-down patch helps beat cigarettes one craving at a time.
The new Brita Smart Pitcher not only gives you clear, refreshing water, it's the only pitcher with a digital indicator, so you'll always know when to change the filter, and your water will always be refreshing. How smart is that? The Brita Smart Pitcher. Refreshingly smart.
Oh, what a time for a cold.
Nose is running, head's all blocked up. I need some Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Only Alka-Seltzer Plus has an effervescent cold-fighting formula that breaks up your worst cold symptoms fast. Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Are you troubled by creditors? You're pre-approved. I guarantee
Go from fat to flat!
You've won a dream vacation.
Want to see my webcam?
Want a better way to block junk email?
Everybody loves baklava. Crispier, flakier crust.
Switch to new MSN 8. Sign up now and get tougher junk email protection, plus 2 months free. It's better with the Butterfly. Call 866-TRY-MSN8 today.
Had it with itching, flaking, dandruff? You need the Neutrogena T-Gel Power of 3. Unlike ordinary medicated shampoos, T-Gel works on all 3 major scalp conditions. Dermatologists recommend it #1. Stop the itching and flaking. Switch to Neutrogena T-Gel. It works.
Now you can help manage your diabetes anytime, anywhere with Glucerna. Delicious bars and shakes that are clinically proven to help manage glucose levels. Try Glucerna. It's time for a taste of freedom.
Coming up on News Channel 5 at 6, looking for tickets for Sunday's AFC Championship game? There are not many, but we'll tell you where they are tonight at 6.
Back now in Baghdad, Iraq. As this country braces for a new war with the United States, I talked today with some young Iraqi students who have already lived through 2 costly wars.
These are young Iraqis who all want to know more about the world, studying to be translators at Baghdad's Mustansiriya University.
My question is it required to go to the mosque?
None of them feels the country will rise up against Saddam Hussein. All of them believe that war is inevitable and will be catastrophic.
But keep in mind that this is Iraq, and none of them could have felt truly free to disagree with the party line if they'd wanted to.
The war is a war. All we know the consequences of the war, but there's no choice. U.S. wants this war.
War is always terrible and horrible. I'm afraid that maybe I'm going to be killed or my sisters.
If you had the opportunity to speak directly with President Bush, what would you say to him?
Leave us alone. We don't want war.
He always says that we are terrorists. Let's look at himself. Who is the terrorist? Let's look at his actions in Afghanistan and all over the world.
I just want him to quit using the policy of violence, because as you know, violence begets violence.
All of these students, most in their early 20s, grew up with war. Their childhood shaped by the long, deadly battle with Iran, and then the U.S.-led Gulf War a decade ago. In a nation that had fewer than 20 million people, an estimated 500,000 were killed.
We are victims of wars, but we don't let that things affect our life.
And that's part of our world. For the CBS Evening News, Dan Rather reporting from Baghdad. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com. AOL keyword CBS News. Inside Iraq, Dan Rather continues his reports from Baghdad. Tomorrow, experience CBS News.